Hello and welcome back to another Tweaker Man video. This is an update video on our ultra high-end interconnects, analog interconnects. Basically, we were using this double silk 10% silver cladded copper. Now there seems to be an issue. Wires that we get it from, wires.co.uk, seem to be not doing it in small amounts now. So I've devised another method to making these interconnects. I've tried them out and they work really well, just the same as this does. So basically, to do this job today, we need our bare wire, which is 10% silver filled copper. These are 0.4 millimeter, and then we need this is the vital bit now. So we're using our piping cord, which is covered in cotton. Now this is a cotton calico, right? Okay, and then we're going to need some more cotton calico, just cut into strips, and we're still going to need our PTFE tape. That's quite a wide one I'm using at the moment there. Now this is double-sided tape, so it's sticky both sides, so that's what we're going to need, some of that, and normal braid and some heat shrink. Now basically what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to be showing you a small section of this cable. So I'm going to make up about 10 inches of this cable, just for small. I might even just make 8 inches or so, because I don't want to, you know, overdo do the whole cable. I just want to show you the basis of this new design that I've come up with. Now I've been working on this design for a while now. That's why I've not uploaded too much. So basically we need a soldering iron still, because we're not actually going to solder anything today. We're not soldering plugs on the end. All I'm doing is primarily showing you the design of this cable, and all you'll need to do then is to go back onto my ultra high-end analog interconnects and just see the way that you terminate the plugs, because essentially this cable is exactly the same as that, but we're just using a different insulation on it. This cotton has a dielectric constant of 0.5, which is very low, so it basically means there's less of the conductor touching the insulation. Right, so let's get started on this job then. So what we're going to do is we're just going to cut this about 8 inches. Now so just take a pen and just cut it there, just mark it there, 8 inches, and we're going to chop it off with our scissors here. Right, now what we've got to do, because this is piping that's been machined up on a sewing machine, so basically you'd need to get hold of, I'm going to list some some Calico from eBay onto the description below. Basically you'll need someone to machine this up for you. You can either get a local dressmaker or a cabinet maker, or even your mum or someone might have a sewing machine with a piping foot on it that you can machine this up. So basically we're just going to cut that waste off of there, because this would be if you're machining up a cushion for a sofa or a cushion, small cushion, a scatter cushion or something. So we're going to trim that up to there. We don't want to trim it too close because it will take off the calico. Right, okay, so we're going to offer this up to here, then we're going to measure it every inch, or 25 mil if you're working in millimeters. So we've got an inch there, inch there. They want to keep this twist exactly to an inch, because you want to, each conductor needs to be exactly the same length. We don't want one to be less than another. Right, so basically we're going to take our wire now and cut it open, take the wire out of there. Right, just undo this. It's a bit fiddly, this wire. Now there is another one. I'm going to show you another way. If you can't get the piping machined up, I'm going to show you another way to do it in a second. Right, okay, so we're going to take this wire off of there, and all I'm going to do for purpose, I'm just going to cut some of this off because it's going to get a bit messy, and I'll just chop a load off of there. I think that's going to be long enough for that piece, so we'll chop that off for now, that piece there. I'll put this to one side. Now basically we need to hold this in place for a bit while we're so what we're going to do is we're just going to do our same old thing of a piece of PTFE tape around it just to hold it in place. This is not going to stay there, this PTFE tape, because we need the conductor only to be touched by the cotton, because cotton has a lower dielectric constant than Teflon, which this tape is. The Teflon is very good as well, but so basically we're just going to wrap that around tight just to hold that in place for now. We're going to remove it after. Right, so basically what we're going to be doing is we need to hit the spot, each one of these, see that there? So we're going to wrap that around there, and we're going to come up to here like so. We need to hit them each time, so you know you've got an inch twist in between. Right, there we go. Again, bang on there. So that one there needs to come around there, and then that's going to finish up there as well now. So we're going to trim that off. So we've got enough there to do 2 of these. Right, okay. So now working back, we're going to be working backwards now with this. So basically what we want to do now is we need to get a piece of double-sided tape here now. Right, so we're just going to got a whole roll of this stuff here. You can buy this, it's very easy. Get it from most DIY stores and that. That's got stuck to the scissors, which is not a very good idea, that bit there. Pull that off. Just cut a nice fresh bit there. Right, so we're going to need to cut this into a bit of a square because we don't want to right, so basically now what we're going to do is we're going to put this double-sided tape here, the opposite side to the conductor around there. Just twist it around the cable slightly, and now what we want to do is just remove the backing. So now we've got our tape on there now, right? So this is the next bit. So this is your cotton calico. Now if you can't get your piping machined up and you can't do it, okay, you've got nobody to do it for you, you can't, it's a load of aggro. All you need to do is secure this with a piece of tape on one end, that double-sided tape, and just twist that round the cable, and then you've got your piping cord covered in cotton. Now the reason I didn't do this is because I've got a sewing machine and I can do it that way, and to me it's neater this way, but you can do it this way as well. So now what I could do with this now is I could stick this back on the sewing machine again and then just machine another piece of calico over the top of that again, but I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you doing it this way. Now we've got this calico at the moment, and I've cut it so wide, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim it down to make it slightly smaller, because it's a bit wide at that thickness there, at that width. So all you got to do, you don't have to be that precise with this. We're just going to chop it down the centre like so, and then we'll have 2 bits there, one for each time we do it. And this does tend to get quite thick, this cable, so you'd need some RCA plugs that take quite a thick cable. Right, so we've got to that stage now. So what we're going to do now is, you can see, you probably can't see that now, but there is some double-sided tape on the back of there now. So basically I'm going to start off about there. Right, okay, now I'm going to start wrapping quite tightly. We don't want it too loose, because we want to make, the looser it gets, the thicker the cable's going to become. So we need to just tape that around there nice and tightly, and when we get to the other end we're going to secure it again with a piece of tape. So now as we get down to the end here, we want to take off our PTFE tape here. Right, okay, well we're coming to the end of that, and that's going to be in the same place there. So right, okay, so we're going to trim that off there now. Now another thing is, you don't want to get your double-sided tape touching the conductor at all, because that would have a very detrimental effect on the sound quality of the cable. So basically we're going to cut another, this is very I mean, this is quite fiddly. You've got to do it all with your hands and that, unless you've got two people to help. So basically, I'm just going to stick a piece of that onto there now, double-sided tape onto the cotton calico, turn the cable around, just chop that off nice and close. There we go. And now I've just got to remove the, make sure that you really push that down so it sticks. I don't have a lot of big nails, I'm not really a long nail person. Let's just pull that back off of there. There we go, it's coming slowly. There we go. Right, so we've got our double-sided tape on there. We're just going to pull that round like that and stick that down. There we go, look, that's nice and neat, no messing about. Perfect. Now, to indicate what is the signal flow and the ground, right, we're gonna indicate it just by the lengths of the wire. So you could indicate it with a pen on the end of it or so, but so we're going to trim that back to about there. So we've got a piece sticking out each end like so. Now, because we basically measured an inch between each conductor, between each twist. Well, not each conductor, each twist, right? So we've got 8 inches there. So we marked it every inch. Right, so now what we want to do now, we want to mark it every ½ inch, because we want to put the next wire in between the first twist, if you get my meaning. So we're going to offer it up to here now. We're going to do a ½ inch one. Well, we're going to alternate it. So it's still going to be an inch, but it's going to start with ½ inch, so 1.5 inches. Then we're going to come up to here and we're going to put in 2.5. Okay, then 3.5. And 4.5, 5.5. Right, okay, 6.5, and then we're up to 7.5 there. Okay, so the wire will still be the same length as the first one, but it will just be twisted differently. So basically, we need the other piece of our wire now. What have I done with that? Where's that gone? Oh, it's on the floor. It's gone down on the floor. Right, okay. So we've got to do the same thing again. We're just going to hold it in place with a piece of PTFE tape to start with. So we're going to start at this end here, the other way round, so that this conductor is going to be the other side of the piping. So we're going to make that longer, so we'll know exactly what that is. So one's going to be the earth, and the other one's going to be the signal flow, or the ground, or whatever you want to call it. Right, so let's get that twisting back round there. Okay, now I don't want people saying to me, well, what about the plugs? I've explained to you this is not about the plugs. We're not terminating this today. We're just basically showing you how to make up the new design that we've come up with. And then you can go on to the other video and you'll see on the other video how to terminate the plugs. Right, so basically here we go again. So we can see where the twist has been going from that one there. That's gone round there and it's been twisted round there. So what we want to do here is we want to do the same thing, but we're going to come back. We're going to start there. Okay. Well, no, we're not. We're going to start up here. See now see now I've made a big mistake there, and I'm going to show you why. Okay, let's take that off of there, because this is where you've got to remember. This is where the twist is going to start from there. So we want to take that up bigger, longer there, slightly longer there, and we're going to use a bit of PTFE tape again. So what I'll do is I'll cut another piece off to show you, because that was these are classic mistakes that you make, you see. So you've got to really work out. So this PTFE tape is quite wide, so I'm just going to turn it over double. This is we're only using this to hold it in place, remember. Right, okay. Right, we're going to make that longer because we need to make it longer. That's it. Right. So just use that to go around there for a minute. Right. Okay then, there we go. Right, so that's our first twist there. So we need to hit that spot there. And we're going to come around again. Then we're going to hit the next spot there. Right, make sure that's longer. Yeah, that's longer, because we need to make sure we've indicated what one's what again. It's so easy to make mistakes when you're doing this. So now we've come across there again, we've hit that spot again, hit that spot again, hit that spot again. It goes perfect. Look at that, that's wonderful. Right, okay, so now we've got to twist that round, bring that up. We need to cut this longer, this one. Right, so I'm going to chop that off there. Now another thing, this is an analog interconnect, but this is only to be used with digital sources. There's no shielding going on in this. This is an unshielded cable design. Now I've got loads of people saying to me, you can't make unshielded cables, you'll have noise. It would be like an antenna, you'll have so much noise coming through. This design doesn't suffer from noise. And unless you've tried it, you won't know. And believe you me, I've designed this. I've been producing cables for a long time. I know exactly what I'm doing of. And this does not suffer from noise. Trust me. This is so much better than a shielded cable for digital. The sound is so much open more. So basically, we've got down to there now. So what we need to do again now is we want to take another piece of our cotton Calico, and now we've got to use another piece of PTFE tape, another piece of double-sided tape, because we've got to stick the Calico to that again, because it's the only way of keeping it in place. But it works very well, and it's good. So just we can fit it over the top of that piece now. There, we'll start there. Remember, we don't want it touching our conductor at all. Okay, so it's quite close to that, but it isn't actually touching it. Right, so we'll pull that off now. There we go, that's come off there now, perfect. Okay, so now we're going to get our Calico again. Start it about, where's the Calico there? That's it there. We're going to start about there. So you can already see the cable's getting thicker now already. Right, okay. We're going to do it tight again all round there. So all what's happening now is the conductor is only touching cotton, which is microfibers touching it. It's not touching any PTFE tape. It's not touching any adhesive or double-sided tape. So again, this method, the dielectric constant of cotton is 0.5. It's very low. I mean, the best conductor material would be nothing. Right, so but obviously the conductors would start corroding and they'd start degrading over a period of time and that, and then all of a sudden they'd touch each other and all sorts of stuff would go wrong and they'd start arcing out all over the place. Right, so now we've got that round there. Now we've got to make sure this conductor is round that side, because it'll have the tendency to slip round. Right, okay. So we're going to just take that round to there. That's it. And I'm going to just take that off there. Now we're going to need another piece of tape now, just to take that Calico off. So I'm going to put a piece on there, sit down there like that, and now I'm just going to chop that back there. Right, okay. And that there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some braid over this afterwards and just finish it off. Right, we won't be terminating it like I said. Right, so we just need to peel that off. We really need nails to do this, and I've not really got nails and that. There we go. So we've got the double-sided tape there. Just twist it round, push it round like that into place. Right, okay. So there is our cable finished in the raw. Right, okay. So now what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be covering this in PTFE tape now, just to keep this nice and tight. We want to keep everything nice and tight. And basically what we've done, because we've put one conductor in first, and then we've covered it in cotton, and then the second conductor has then got its own cotton insulation to sit on. It's not got, so somebody might say to me, why don't you put the two conductors just side by side and only put one piece of cotton over the top of it? I don't want to do that, because just in case the wires was to get pulled and then the two would touch each other, this way they can't touch because they've got insulation in between them. Right, so basically we're just going to get this nice and neat. It's very difficult to start with this stuff. So basically just going to twist it around like that, get it nice and tight, keep it nice and tight, because it will keep the cable less thick, because it's already thick enough. So there we go. around like so, twisting it round nice and neat. You might say this looks a bit like a bandage. Well, it does look a bit like a bandage, because then bandages are made of cotton as well. Right, so we're just going to give that 2 layers of that, because it will just keep it nice and neat, and we'll know that everything's in there nice and tight and that. Right, so let's try to get this last layer. This stuff is always awkward to get neat when you're putting it around. There we go. Now I've made a set of these for myself already, because everything I do I double check. I make up the amount of cables that I make that are no good, that I have to go back to the drawing board, and I think it's got a lack of base there, and I was using some silver wire that was very base light at first, and it never really materialized in the end, so that got scrapped. So here we go, we're going back around there now, going back up here. So what we need to do at the end of this as well is, because this particular PTFE tape that I'm using now, it just comes from a big DIY chain in Great Britain, and it's very nice and wide, but it don't seem to mould in as well as the cheaper one that I was using before, but it's quicker because it's wider. And it's all about, you know, time with me as well. I mean, it's all about speed, and it's always good to do a good job, but it's nice to be able to do it in a decent time as well. So right, we're coming to the end here now. That's doubled up, double layered. Turn it around there. Now we're just going to need another piece of you can just rest that down there now, because that won't unravel. You're going to need another piece of double-sided tape. I mean, this stuff for cable building, this double-sided tape is excellent. It really is good stuff. Can't actually, it's a bit like PTFE tape. The two go hand in hand. You can't do have one without the other. It's just right. So let's stick the double-sided tape on there. Take it up a bit there like that, remembering not to touch any conductor with it, which we haven't. There you go, that's pulled off nice and easy this time. And then all we've got to do then is just push that round onto there. Okay, we're going to trim that off because it needs to be trimmed off a bit. There we go, perfect. Right, so we've got one conductor there. One of them's longer than the other, so we know exactly what channels for what is the ground and what is the signal flow. Right, so basically now, if you've seen all my other videos and you've been making my cables, you probably don't need to see this next stage, because it's just finishing it off, making it look decent and all that, because you can't really leave it like that. I mean, you could do if you wanted, but it's not really going to wear that well. So basically we've got our nylon braid here. We need to turn on our soldering iron, because we want to cut it to length, but basically what you need to do with this is you need to singe the ends of it, because otherwise it just starts fraying. Once it starts fraying, it's no good. So so basically we've got one end cut. We're just going to wait for the soldering iron to heat up, and then we'll be back in a second. Right, so we've got our expanded nylon braid here. Basically this cable will only be slightly thicker than my ultra high-end interconnects, analog interconnects that I've made before. So everything that goes with that video still applies to this cable, apart from the difference in the insulation that we've used. This particular wire is already insulated with double silk, and basically we've just twisted that round the piping cord, and then we wrap loads of PTFE tape around it. Now that, with that particular design, I wrapped 4 layers of PTFE tape around it. This one's only got 2 because we don't need it as much. So it's a very similar thickness of cable. So now I've syringed the end of this just to stop it from, on the braid, just to stop it from fraying a bit. Still looks like it's fraying a little bit, that one there. Let's give it another little, just put it on that edge just to make sure that it does that. Right, okay. So now what we're going to have to do now is just to wrap some PTFE tape around the conductor end, just to stop it from bending and twisting when we push it through the nylon braid. Otherwise it might get weak and snap off, which we don't want to do, because this is only 0.4 of a millimetre thick, this stuff. I mean, it's a very good wire, works very well. I do like the I mean, there's so many people, all these different manufacturers got different ideas about cables, and it's all about trial and error, the sort of sound you like. So I like the 10% silver cladded copper. Now see, look, you can go through there with it. It goes through nice and neatly. We're going to get up so far, then we're going to trim it off with a soldering iron when we get to the end there. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm probably just going to push that over the end and just trim, just melt off both pieces. So look, that's fitted around there nice and neatly. Yeah, the silver plated copper I like because you've still got the base. Copper is primarily gives you a better base, and the silver gives you a nice top end, high end sparkle to it. So that's what I like using this wire. You could use pure silver on its own, which I have got some cable in my system which is pure silver, one of them being my digital interconnect. But I do find I really like the sound of this wire myself. So what we're basically going to do now is just take the soldering iron and just burn it round like so, just to trim off and just mould it in. Now again, with this nylon braid, you don't want any of this touching the conductor at all. The conductor needs to be left freely on its own without nothing touching it. Okay, so that's that. Basically what we're going to do now is we just need to we're going to put some heat shrink over the end of that. Right, okay, so that's that. We're going to do the same with this end. Just trim that around like that. Don't use the end of the soldering iron, just use the back of it, because otherwise it buggers you up for when you've got to solder next. Right, so that's that. We don't actually need that soldering iron now, so just turn it off. Right, so what we need to do now is we're going to just leave that on there for now, that stuff. And then, so basically we've got some, what is this stuff now? This is 15 mil heat shrink. We're just going to add a little bit on the end of it. Remembering this is only a sample cable that I'm making up. This isn't the actual cable that's going to have anything finished on the end of it. I mean, you could use this. You could see what I've made here, this length. You could use this as a jumper cable from a preamp to a power amp. Now this here, this has become thick now, this cable. Look, there we go, that's gone on there. So that's about 15 mil now, this cable. So it may be slightly thicker than the original one that I've done. That's why I said you'll need a cable, RCA plug that takes thick cable, which the ones in the original ultra high end interconnects I made has got that. Right, so we've pulled that off of there. There we go. So all we're going to do now is just take our gun. I'm going to heat this up just to shrink that in place. Right, remembering never keep the always keep the heat going away from the braid, because the braid is going to end up getting all melted by that. So we'll just hold that up there, cut another piece just the same size. We're not being that accurate with heat shrink and that today. We don't really need to do with that. Right, okay, so here we go again. We're just going to push that over there. This one seems to have splayed out a little bit, so I'm going to have to just push that in place. Get that on there like that. Start like that. There we go. Perfect. Keep that away from the conductors again. As I say, we don't want anything touching that. None of the, if you get any like messy strands around there, just chop them off. That's it, nice and neat. Right. Right, there we go. That is one analog interconnect. A short piece of 8 inches. But all you have to do is make the cable longer, the piping longer, depending on what length you want. Half a metre, 0.75 of a metre, 2 metres, metre and a half, whatever. Just follow this process, what I've done here. So all you need for this job is piping cord, which I'll list below the size and everything of it. You'll need some Calico, cutting strips if you're going to wrap it round and you can't use, like I said again, I'll just recap. If you can't get your Calico machined up onto your piping, you'll have bare piping there, and you'll just wrap the Calico around it like so. It's the same process. It'll be fine. It'll work exactly the same. It's just because I've got an access to a sewing machine, I find it looks a bit neater. By the time you've got all your nylon braid on the outside of it, you won't notice any difference. So basically, you need your cotton Calico, your piping cord, your 0.4 of a millimeter silver cladded copper, 10% silver cladded copper, some heat shrink, and some nylon braid. And there you go. Now that's going to make a wonderful sound. That's a wonderful interconnect cable which I've made there. Wonderful. It's not shielded, remember that. This is for digital application only. When I say digital, I mean analog interconnect, but only for digital sources like a CD player or even a music streamer or anything like that. This cannot be used on a turntable because turntable interconnects need to be shielded. So there we go again. So I hope I've clarified this cable now. This is to replace the ultra high-end interconnect cable that I've made up before using the 0.4 of a millimeter double silk covered 10% silver cladded copper. So thank you for watching. Again, if you're new to the channel, I'd love you to subscribe and support my channel. I'm trying to grow it. I haven't uploaded for a while again. I'm really struggling at the moment with videos. And don't forget to give me a like. Thanks for watching.